What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 29 of Keeping It Local. I am your host, John, and I am here with Joe Beauchamp from Beauchamp Team Solutions. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, John, thanks for having me out here today. Appreciate you having me join on your podcast.
I am very happy to have you. I am excited about this episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you are basically like the foremost expert in leadership that I've ever had on here. So do me a favor first. Just kind of give everybody the rundown on what Beauchamp Team Solutions is and what you do and your expertise.
Yeah, so we help people figure out how to grow their companies, right? So it's actually Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions.
Sorry,
Yeah, no
apologies.
problem. It's a tongue twister there.
I wrote it down too, and
It's when I was trying to form the company, I kept trying to come up with names, and people are like, use your last name in there somewhere. So that's where the Beauchamp comes in, and then what we really do, it's growth solutions. Growing a business is hard, right? And you know this, you've started your real estate business. It's hard. It takes a lot of work. And so there's always hurdles, there's always roadblocks, and we help business owners and other business leaders to figure out where those roadblocks are, what's preventing them from growing the way that they know they can, and then we help them strategize on how to overcome that. So it's leadership, it's training, it's coaching. The topics underneath leadership could be things like communication, emotional fitness, teamwork, building culture, having a vision, right? So, I asked the client one time, like, what's your vision for the company? And he said, we're going to be at, $10 million in so many years. I'm like, that's not really motivating to your people. Like nobody goes to the business and says, wow, you know what? I really want to make you $10 million in the next three
Yeah.
years, right? So nobody says that. So you need a vision that inspires your people, that your people are going to be like, you know what? I want to be on that team. I want
Right.
to do that. I want to save the environment. I want to make people's lives better. I want to help this world become a better place. So helping people to kind of formulate those things from, hey, this is what I think in my head to, hey, this is what actually works, right? So if you use the right strategies, they work. And I chuckle. We chuckle with my clients all the time. They're like, Joe, what we talked about last week, I did it. And you know what? It worked. Like, this is so much better now. Like, yeah, that's just how it works. You do the strategy, you get the results.
Right. Follow process.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
But it's hard because it's discipline, right? Like that's I feel like one of
It's
the issues.
changing habits, right?
Yeah.
There's a Dilbert cartoon. It's like who wants change? We do. Who wants to change? Crickets, right? Like nobody
Yep.
wants to change.
Yep.
But if I help to inspire the business owners or the people that are in charge, the leaders, right, who might be very successful already, but they're not successful because of 100% of the things they do. They're successful because of 30% of the things that they do, and in spite of the other 70% of things, right? So I
Mhm.
help them to figure out, hey, if I just tweak this a little bit differently, if I just change this negative habit to a positive habit, I didn't think that was a problem, but now I can understand, hey, that can be a problem, and I see why. Now I want to change it. How do I change it? Here's a strategy. Let's figure out how to do that, right? So as people start exchanging, less effective methods for more effective methods, they're more effective. It's just,
Mhm.
it's just how it works. You just can't. It's simple. It's almost simple math, right? So
Right. No, it makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, and it's you talked about leadership, and I had this question planned, but it is just the perfect segue without you even really preparing for it. But like, I do want to know what is the biggest misconception that people have about leadership, and I'll just give a little more background to that question because I mean, if you go online, like again, being a real estate agent, I am constantly like I am flooded with like you know not just influencers but gurus and spaces and coaches and then there's an account called Bowler Busters, which I find hilarious. Like it just shows half of these guys to be, just phony and blowing smoke a lot of time. So you have built a real business out of this, and you obviously help a lot of people. What do you see as the biggest misconception right now about leadership?
So from the leader's own perspective, the biggest challenge that I encounter is I already know it. I'm already good at it. I already do that, right? I already think that I'm a good leader.
Mm,
And
mm,
that really stifles us from thinking, hey, you know what? I've had some success, but I bet you I can be better. I can be a
mm,
better version of myself. I can do this a little easier. There's probably some better strategies out there that I can implement, right? And that's really the awareness. When somebody can be self-aware and put their ego aside, which is a challenge, right? Like you know and I know being a small business owner or really any kind of business person, if you want to be successful, it's a lot of hard work.
Hmm.
And at the end of, years of grinding and we're grinding out some success after a period of input, we're investing all this time, energy, and effort and sweat and tears and frustration, and we start eking out some success. We start thinking that, hey, that's because of all this work I did. Not it's because of, like I said before, it's because of 30% of what I did, and in spite of the other 70%, you know, um, and that's an awareness if you have to get to. Like I just muscled it through. I made it happen. I made it happen by sheer muscle. And that becomes kind of like muscle memory also. I gritted the whole process out. I'm going to continue to grit out the next, I gritted it out to 10 million. I'm going to grit it from 10 million to 100 million. And it's not going to work. You can only grit so far. Like grit is a key component. Like, listen, have grit, love grit, be gritty,
Hmm.
right? But you gotta do different things, right? So there's
Right.
a book actually, which I highly recommend. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And it's about this whole
Mm.
concept of leaders who were successful because of certain parts of their character, but in spite of others, and how to become more self-aware of these other things that we're doing that are really shooting ourselves in the foot. So I like to encourage people to think about the exchange. This is not serving me really well. Let's exchange that for a new habit, a new behavior, a new mindset that will serve me a little bit better.
Mm. Yeah, because it's not a direct correlation between success and leadership. You might be successful. That's what I'm hearing at least is that success comes from the hard work and everything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good leader in that moment. And there's more to come, and it's a totally different skill set.
Yeah, I mean, studies have shown. So another book, which would be a great book, is um, by Jim Collins. Built to last, right?
Hmm.
So there have been leaders who have led companies to great success and then left and the company's fallen apart, right? So
Mm.
how great of a leader were they? Great. You helped the company at that moment, but you never created a successor. You never created sustainable, growth and greatness in your company. So, yeah, you had a level of leadership, but there's higher levels of leadership that you can implement, right? So a lot of leaders lead at base level leadership. I'm the boss. Do what I say. I pay your paycheck. Show up, do what I ask you to do, go home. That's it, right? So, and that's effective to a degree. And I can threaten people and I could, threaten to fire them and I could pay them more money and, you know, do more, do good, pay more, do bad, terminate, right? So,
Mm.
I can do the carrot and stick the entire time and I can get results. That's level one leadership, right? So a level above that is relationship, right? I lead, you give me permission to lead you because you value me as a person and I value you as a person. More importantly, I as leader value the person underneath me and they understand, hey, I feel valued by my leader. My leader has a good vision. We're going somewhere useful. We're doing something beneficial to humanity by
Mm.
being here and they jump on board with that, okay? So that level of leadership is great. It's people oriented. It's based upon relationship. Okay. And that's a great level up from just based upon I'm the boss, follow what I say.
Okay. I love that. Oh, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I feel like I'm on a long diatribe.
No, no, but it's important. It's
There's
very important.
there's levels above that, right? So the next level of leadership is productivity, results. It's winning, right? People want to be on a team with a leader who loves them and cares for them, but then they also want to be on a team that wins.
Mm.
I can go to it if I show up to work every day and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I love my boss. He's a great person. You know, um, he's helpful. He likes me. He gives me the time off I need, whatever it is, right? So I have a good relationship, but you know what? We really kind of suck. Like we're number 10 in the marketplace. We haven't moved up. Like year after year, we set these goals and nobody makes them. We're eking out maybe a 1 or 2% increase year over year. Um, it just seems like it's mundane. We're not really going anywhere. We're not competitive. We're just sort of status quo. People don't want that. People want to be on a winning team. There's excitement to setting big, hairy, audacious goals and
Hmm.
then accomplishing them and being able to celebrate with the team. Like, hey, we did close to impossible results. We set out to do something amazing and we landed in that amazing realm. Like there's value to that. People want to be on a winning team.
Yeah,
A lot of
definitely.
leaders focus on that and they try to skip the relationship level, right? If
Right,
I go to you and I say, hey, John, listen, we're going to be super productive. Here's the phone calls, here's the contacts, here's the things you need to do. And I'm totally focused on productivity and I never establish a rapport, a relationship with you, you're going to resent that relationship,
right,
right? You're
right,
going to feel like I'm using you to make money off of you.
right,
And that's what we see in the workplace as well. People who have the task-oriented nature, they want to win and go out there and get results, but they don't focus on the people, their
right.
teams resent them.
The,
So
it's this is perfect conversation. Sorry, I keep cutting you off because I'm getting excited about the next thing here because this is exactly what I want to talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So a good leader needs to combine the people skills with the task-oriented skills. And generally speaking, the same person is not going to be good at both being task-oriented and both being people-oriented, right? So we like to say, hey, are leaders born or are they made? And the
Right,
answer is leaders are made. You come with a certain set of skills, but you have to adapt. You've got to grow and you've got to continue to develop. So some people are naturally task oriented. They're going to be focused on results. They're going to be focused on data. They're going to be focused on here's the process, do these things, make these calls, do this effort, put this input in, right? And other people are going to be more relationship oriented. They're more people oriented. They want to know how you're feeling, how's your family, how are you doing, what are your goals in life, where are you going, how do our customers perceive us? Do we love our customers? Those kind of very people oriented people, right? Neither one of those is a great leader, right? You have to combine them both together to be a great leader. You have to be people oriented and you have to be task oriented. And very few people are naturally born with both task oriented nature and people oriented nature. Usually people are one or the other,
right,
right? And
right.
so that's where leadership development comes in.
It's true. Yeah. And I love that you said that. I mean, obviously, again, because you're an expert in this. And yeah, some people you feel like, yes, are born leaders, but there's so much more to it than that. Like maybe you have some of those qualities, but you don't have everything that makes you great. And that's the
Correct.
important thing. Um,
Correct.
so all right. So this kind of brings us into where we wanted to go today. So I want to do um a mock coaching session because I think this is a perfect segue. We were talking about it a little bit before. I plan on starting my own real estate team soon, and as the leader of that team, I'd love to get a session in right now about how or what I should be doing. I guess the whole thing is like, what should I be doing in order to create that culture and be a great leader in the team. So however you want to do it, you want to do it like I'm just a client, we come in and we talk about it, whatever you think, I will follow your lead here.
Sure. So let me just give you some background. So what I do training
Okay.
and I do coaching. And I try to combine the training and the coaching together because training is when I give you information that you may not have already had, or I make you more aware of things that maybe you were a little unclear about, or, a little, you had some ideas, but you weren't 100% confident in those ideas. There's the training part. And the coaching part is helping you to implement those into a daily activity that you now have developed daily mindsets, daily strategies, daily habits that you're going to do consistently to get those results, right? So
Mm.
that's where the coaching comes in. So in strictly coaching terms, I would ask you questions like where are you right now and where do you want to go? So right now, do you have anybody working for you?
Right now I only have a partner.
Okay. And that partner does the same real estate kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, we're like 50-50 partners in the nest egg team is the
Okay.
brand.
Okay, good. So that's awesome. Having a partnership is amazing. It's a superpower, right? So if the two of you can stay working together, right? Know where you're both good at things and where you're not and where the other person is, that's amazing, right? So now where do you want to end up? So in some hypothetical future, we'll start with that. In some hypothetical future, what does your ideal team look like?
Okay. So my ideal team, and I have spent time thinking about this, is I want to bring in majority teachers onto my real estate team and train them in the business the way I've been trained and what I've learned from others. And allow them to have their own business at some point. I want to have almost, I would say almost like a transient team. Like I want people to come on for 2 or 3 years. I will train them. I will teach them the business the way I did, which I was taught by amazing people. And I want to transfer that training to them. If they want to stay with me on that team, I would be totally happy with that. But ultimately, my goal is to help teachers build their business the way I built it and have their own business that they could be self-sufficient and do real estate and live a great life. Because honestly, a lot of it's difficult. I feel for the teacher because I am one. Like
Yeah.
I want teachers to be able to experience more. That it's really hard right now, especially with and monetarily, it starts out pretty low for
Yeah.
teachers. So I want to show people this possibility, show them that there is other things that you could do, and the skill set, how it transfers so beautifully to real estate, because so much of it is just relational and teaching. Um, and like first time home buyers, like you're teaching 99% of the time.
Right.
So that is the ultimate goal, is to have, I want to retain people on the team. I want to have people who are permanent team members, but I want to help teachers build their own business over the course of time and have them be doing it the right way. And well, I shouldn't say the right way, because it's my way, but have
A
them.
way that works. A way that
Yeah,
works for them.
exactly, a way that works. That's, see, that you're doing great already.
So quick shout out to teachers. I was a teacher for a number of years, high
Oh,
school
nice.
science teacher, and teachers are amazing people. I've never met a teacher that didn't love their students. It's a very tough job, right? So, students come in from all over the place with all kinds of different everything, and it's up to the teacher to try to educate them. I always used to say that teaching is very easy. Getting students to learn is very difficult. Like
So
it's
true.
not just about teaching. My responsibility isn't to teach. My responsibility was to get those students to learn. That's a
Hmm.
huge challenge, right?
Yeah.
So especially like, you deal with kids with special needs, then there's kids with, language barriers and some kids with language barriers and special needs and
Yeah.
stuff. So, and I don't know any teacher who wouldn't, protect their classroom with their own body, in the case of an emergency,
Hmm.
right? And so super respect to all the teachers, lots of love and respect to every teacher out there. Keep rocking what you're doing. You literally hold our futures in your hands. So shout out to the teachers. Love all of you.
Thank you. That
Um,
is nice to hear, Joe.
so
Honestly, it really is.
I think people don't, I don't know that the public, um, on any average day values the teachers as much as I believe teachers deserve to be valued. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's super easy to be like, oh, that teacher, especially when your kid comes home, oh, you know, Mr. Gar Gar Garcia was,
Yeah. So you got
mean
it.
to me.
Nice.
Garcia. He's impossible, blah, 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 whatever. Like, so, and the kids say that, and then the parents are all upset. And then the parents call and say, what are you doing to my kid kind of thing. It's hard. So,
Yeah.
so shout out to the good parents who love teachers too. So
Yeah.
we're all in the same team trying to help your kids to be the best version that they could be. So,
Yeah.
all right. So now, how many people do you think that you'd like to have on your ideal team when your team is ideal? Like, and we're not setting a time frame like 5 years, 10 years. We're just thinking about it at this point, at this ideal future hypothetical time frame. How many people are on your team? Like, what does that
I
team
would
look like
say
around the business?
I would say probably 8 to 10 people would be ideal. I don't know if I'd want to go more than that, because I envision there being a lot of training, like myself doing a lot of training. So yeah, I would say
Okay.
probably 8 to 10.
Okay. So we have 8 to 10 people. They're going to stick with you for some number of years. They're going to be a certain level of success. And, some of them are going to decide to, move on their own, do their own thing or move somewhere else, whatever. Some will stick around and stay. Some of them might, come and go. Um, we probably are going to be having the 20-80 rule. So probably 2 out of the 10 might be your big producers, and then, kind of drifts down from there.
Mhm.
Um, the majority, as well as I do, the majority of realtors, um, sell, I think like, one or two or fewer homes a year.
Mhm.
So they're not making a full-time gig. So it's a good strategy to get teachers in there who have, you know, salaries and, their benefits and everything already from teaching. So,
Right.
um, and they have that communication skill set to be able to communicate with people and that ability to talk in front of others. So I think it's a good strategy. So now let's try to take this hypothetical time frame and then start bringing it down into a realistic time frame. So out of that 8 to 10 people, um, what do you think you can do within, let's say, the next year, right? So it's now April of 2025. So by April of 2026, how far along that process do you think you'd like to go?
I would say I could probably have onboarded by that point comfortably. I would probably want to have maybe no more than three new members that I have brought on. Just because I would want to be fine tuning the training and all of the stuff in between and make sure that I could handle a larger workload as it goes on. I don't know, like three people might be overwhelming and I might not, and I might say, well, this is a lot right now. I'm done, especially if I plan on staying in production and not giving up on production. So yeah, I would say a year from now, yeah, having three people on board would be solid, aside from my already business partner, but like three new team members.
Okay, good. So now, how long of an onboarding process do you think it's going to take to onboard 3 people to get them up to being productive?
Hmm. So the way I have it mapped out right now, I kind of have like a 3-year plan mapped out that's based in production. So they could graduate faster. Like I've kind of set it up like school, like you're going to graduate, you're going through the grade levels. So the
Right.
first grade is a certain number of transactions they have to complete plus a certain number of training, um and a couple of things, and then they would progress on to the second level. So the amount of time I'm putting in for the training aside, like in the middle of deal training is constant. But like to get up to speed just to start at level one, I would say it's probably about um like 10 business days of training, I would say, to get going.
Okay.
Did that answer your question enough? I could do a little bit more if you need.
Oh, no problem. So that's actually a very short turnaround time, 10 days of training. That's after they have their license.
That's after licensing. Yeah, that's after they've gotten a license and also done like the brokerage training. That would just be the like then the nest egg team training, like the stuff that we do.
Okay. Um, and how long is like the brokerage training?
It's I think like 2 or 3 days of training.
Okay, so pretty short.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I mean, because there's so much you could learn, but a lot of the learning comes from being in deals. Like you're just every deal, there's new things that you learn, and then any type of new property that you get into, there's new stuff. So there's so much learning just through the process too. And a lot of the training is just like how to not get yourself in trouble. Is a
Right.
lot of it, and then the
Right.
way
Law,
like and
legal
the
stuff.
systems. Yeah, and then it's like the tech stacks and how those things work and how just like the brokerage functions and things like that.
Okay. So now, do you have your training, like this 10 business days of training? Do you have that set up? Like, do you have the curriculum, like on day one, we'll accomplish these things, on day two, we'll accomplish these?
I'm gonna look it up right now. I should have had it open already. Um and I just need to find it. So I actually don't have the days broken down. I have the years broken down. Oh no, I kind of do actually have the days broken down. Here they are. So aside from like the brokerage training, we would be training in agency disclosure, which they have that in signature and it's a big deal. Um I would also have the intro to the referral system that we use. That's a couple of days of training, like how to do that and basic lead generation. So I
You
have
don't
it.
have
I
to,
don't have it hour by hour, but I do have like a basic skeleton.
okay. So you don't have to spell it all out, but if so obviously the step, before the first person starts, you ought to have the competencies or the knowledge, the awareness, whatever the skill set that you want them to have, laid out, right? So
Hmm.
if we have an hour of time to spend together, this is what we're going to go over. If we have 5 hours to spend together, this is what we're going to go over, right? So by whatever amount of time, we should have transferred a certain level of competencies to the person who's onboarding, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I would also recommend having, I call it a competency checklist, right?
Okay.
Write out everything that the person should be good at, and then give yourself a column to track when you trained them on it and who it was that trained it. Because maybe your partner trained them on, maybe your partner trains them on 5 things and you train them on the other 5 things.
Right.
So if you have it all in one spot, then oh, okay. Oh, John went over this with you. And what's your partner's name?
Elijah.
Elijah. And Elijah trained you on this, right? And then, kind of like in school, hey, I trained you, right? Teaching is easy, getting people to learn is difficult, right? Now let me assess at a later point in time, are you actually competent in the thing that we trained you on, right? Do you
Mm,
know it? How well do you know it? And that's where I recommend that you give people a scaled score, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever the number is. Don't automatically give everybody perfect scores to begin with, because that says they're perfect. There's no
right.
growth right there, right? So try to be honest. It's not easy to tell somebody, hey, that's around a 7 out of 10.
Right.
So let's work on getting that to be a little bit better, right? Nobody's gonna be perfect at it.
Mm,
And that's another thing. People like, as a leader, you have to have courage to have those difficult conversations. Hey, that was really good for somebody who's brand new,
mm. See, and
right?
it's interesting that you say that because I've never had in anywhere that I've been, I've never had someone come in and give a scale rating in anything, and just like see how you're doing in those respects, which I find very, very interesting. And it
Yeah.
makes sense
People-
as a teacher, it makes sense. Like you're assessing constantly. You got to know what they know.
right.
That, as far as I know, I mean, I might be going out on a limb on saying this, and maybe someone who has a team and does this is going to freak out, but I don't know anybody is doing that. I don't know anybody is actually assessing. The only assessment that actually you already know the answer to this. What's the only assessment that's actually made?
Competent or not, or doing it or
Production.
not.
That's it.
Right.
It's yeah,
Right.
it's production. How much did you sell? Did you sell enough? Did you meet your bottom line? That's it. That's the only way, really, I would say competency is measured in this business.
Yeah. And that's great, but it's not helpful, right? It's not helpful in coaching, because ultimately you want to be able to narrow down, hey, this new person on my team, let's say Fred is great at these things. Let's work on the things that he's not so great at, right?
Mm,
But if you never broke it down into all the little skills that are necessary, then you're not going to know. We always say it's a numbers game, but it's not a numbers game. It's a numbers game and a quality game,
right.
right? I can
Right.
have the best pitch, the best conversation. I can be the best person, and I talk to one person a day. I'm only going to get so much productivity out of that,
Right.
right? If I talk to 2 people a day, I would get twice the productivity out of that, right? If I talk to 100 people a day, I'm going to have 100 times more productivity, right? At the same time, somebody else can talk to 100 people a day, but their conversations are lousy. They're not making connections. They're not communicating effectively. And so there's quantity and then there's quality, and the two multiply
Mm-hmm.
to each other, right? So we've got to work on the quantity. We're always going to hold people accountable for quantity, and we're always going to hold them accountable for quality. And there should always be measurements that we're assessing people on quality and quantity, right? Because that goes back to being this leader who leads teams that win. This is your task-oriented part of leadership, right? So the people-oriented side says, hey, listen, you're a valuable person, whether you produce anything at all or not. You don't have to produce a thing, and I will like you and value you as a human being. You may not stay on my team, right?
Right.
But I will value you. I'll help you go on another team. I'll help you to do it. I'll help you find something that's the right fit for you. Okay. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I've done everything I could to help you win in this job. And you're not. Let's get you something where you can win. Because there's no sense in spinning your wheels and not being productive, right? It doesn't help the other person. Like patting you on the back and telling you, oh, you're a good person. Someday it'll turn around. It's not really your fault. When I should be telling you, hey, just isn't the right fit for you. We've done everything under the sun that's possible to get you to onboard, and you just don't really have the skill set to be successful, right? And
Right.
it's okay. There's no harm in telling somebody that. You're good at something. You're just not good at this, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to have the courage as leaders to be, right. So if I break down character of leadership, this is a side tangent, character of leader, humility, right? Number one is humility. Number two is trustworthiness. And number three is courage, right?
Mm,
So the number three character trait of a good leader is having that courage, the ability to have difficult conversations with people and to take difficult tasks and to achieve difficult goals, right? That's all underneath the umbrella of courage. So have courage and have those conversations. And I will tell you that the majority of companies that I work with, before I started working with them, did not have a very good assessment like accountability structure,
Mm,
right? It was kind of wing it. You like, hey, you made the number or you didn't make the number. But those are so far removed that if I go to you at the end of the year, right, and you say, hey, listen, you only sold one house this year. You told me that you wanted to sell four houses this year, but you only sold one. Hey, what happened? It's like, well, Mr. Jones was supposed to go, but then this happened. Then Mr. Smith was supposed to happen, and this happened, and Bob and Mary was supposed to happen, and then that happened, whatever. You end up with excuses. Excuses don't make you better the next year, right? You can make
right.
excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both.
Yeah.
So, but if you break it down into steps, like you were supposed to make 50 phone calls today, did you make those 50 phone calls? No, I made
Hmm.
40.
Right.
Okay, well, what were the results from the 40? This is the results. Okay, so can you make 50 phone calls tomorrow? What got in the way of making those 50 phone calls today? Right? This is a
Right.
coaching relationship, asking questions. Hey, what was the barrier that blocked you from making those 50 phone calls?
Mm,
Well, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, let's
right.
address that barrier tomorrow. Did you make 50 phone calls? Yes, I made 50. Okay, good. Well, you still owe the 10 from the day that you made 40. So tomorrow, can you do 60? I'll give it a try. Okay, let's do 60. Okay, did you do 60? No, I did 45. Okay, what got in the way? This got in the way. Okay, let's overcome that challenge. Maybe 50 a day is not the reasonable number to make. Okay, then we can look, that's just on the quantity. Then it's the quality. Well, did you include these things in the conversation? Did you talk like this? Did you record your pitches? Can I listen to you in your conversations and give you advice on how to improve the quality? You talk to 100 people and you get one person to move forward. This other person talks to 100 people and they get five people to move forward. That person's doing something different qualitatively than you're doing. So
Right.
let's figure out what's the quality issue in their conversations that make them more productive, right? So if we're measuring quantity and we're measuring quality, we can now coach them on a day-to-day basis. And everybody knows like the year-end target isn't made at the end of the year. The year-end target is made on day-to-day disciplines. And that's why we got to break everything down into what is your next task that you need to do starting now to
Mm,
get to where you want to go,
right.
right? So that brings us back to you and your team. And what do you think is your next task that you would like to do? Let's say let's say I'll give you a month. In the month of by the end of May, what would you like to have accomplished in getting these three people onboarded to your team?
I have to break everything down. Like I have to get the day to day on like I have to get day one onboarding scheme laid out and ready to go. And then I would say that I have to get the first like the onboarding days, those 10 days, I have to have everything mapped out like minute by not minute by minute, but everything that's going to go on in those 10 days and then start to build those things because without that, it's never going to work. So that's what I
Okay.
would say. Yeah.
Is that reasonable to get done in a month?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because it's, I could do one task a day and that's 30 tasks, like, and that should be enough to get, I mean, one task a day is like nothing. So I should be able to do five or six things that are going to
You say that
happen.
you say that now. Let's check back in let's check back in 30 days and see
That's
how that
true.
went.
That's true. One thing I have gotten used to is setting up tasks and just knocking them down, because that's my brain does work like that, where I work better when like if I make like five checks that I know like my brain will be going all night and I'll be like, all right, I know here's what I need to do. Set them up in my phone, like my reminder task thing, set them up, set the time, set the priority, and then as the day goes on, they pop up. It's like, yep, got to do that. Boom, boom, boom. So my brain works like that where I start to shut down because I have had coaching before. Where I start to shut down is just like you were saying, where it's like 50 phone calls. Okay. I only made 20. Okay, and then it's like I didn't complete it. You know what I mean? And that's where it starts. That negative build does have more quantitative negative effects. It's just the way my brain works. I don't know what it is about me, but my brain, like when I start to miss, it's like you missed and you missed, and then it feels less valuable, and then it feels less
Yeah.
important. Then it's like, do I really have to do it? Like I'm still getting business. Do I really have? So that's something that I need to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a term for that. It's called being human.
I thought you were going to throw
So
something really technical
you,
at me. I was like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, here we go. Diagnose me.
you you suffer from the same thing that the majority of the population suffers from. So, and that's okay. Like a good coach, like part of coaching is inspiration. Like you're gonna fall. The growth curve is not a straight line. It's a jagged line. It's like the stock market. Like your personal growth looks like the stock market up and down, like the Dow Jones Industrial Average on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis, right? So so get used to that. Like not every day is a home run, right? Some days you lose points. If and the trajectory, this is something I've learned in coaching, like everybody says you should be like here, right? You know, I think I could be, maybe here, right? So the
Right.
expectation of other people might be up here. My expectation maybe is down here, but the reality is it's down here. Why? Why? Because when I considered my growth and I created that growth trajectory, I said I can grow 1% per day. 1% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1%. I never took into consideration the days that I would go back 2%, back 3%, back 5%, right? So, yeah, maybe on a good day, I can grow 2%. I cut myself some slack. I said, okay, I'll grow 1%, but I never considered all the days that go backwards. So, if you
Hmm.
add up, grow 2%, lose 2%, grow 2%, lose 2%, right? Like it's a jagged line.
Right.
So, that's why we never end up predicting our own growth in the rate that we never end up making the growth that we predicted because it's this jagged up and down cycle. Some days you hit it out of the ballpark. I made 100 phone calls. I got three, prospects on my list. And other days I made zero phone calls, or the three prospects that I had yesterday all dropped out for whatever reason. People literally, clients or prospects literally died or got divorced or the house is foreclosed or whatever other kind of, crazy thing happened. Like
Right.
monkey wrenches get thrown in the mix. So that's just part of life. Welcome to Earth. This is this is the road you're on.
Well, you know what? That was exactly what I needed. Thank you for that. I know you have to go to another, you have someone to actually coach, and change their trajectory. But this was awesome. I really appreciate it. And where can people find you online and everything, those who do actually watch this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Come to beauchampteam.com. That's my website. They can also call me directly on my phone, which is 631-770-7705. Hopefully that's easy to remember. 631-770-7705.
Nice.
Um, So yeah, and reach out. Initial consultation is always free, and I'm more than happy to help anybody, no matter what.
That's awesome.
So,
All right,
and I'm
great.
going to check
Well,
back with you. So part three is always
uh-oh.
holding people accountable for progress. So I'm going to check back with you in a month, and let's see if you got these 30 tasks done.
I
30
wrote it
days,
down.
30
I'm gonna
tasks.
start cracking away now that I know I'm gonna be checked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it because one of my other human qualities is I don't like to disappoint. Especially my coaches. They'll know I was always coaches could tell me what to do and I would do it like run through the wall, John. Like, okay, sir. Um, but
And that's
yeah,
that's a
again,
huge aspect of that. That's a huge benefit of having a coach is that people feel like they're more accountable to another human being because if they say, "Hey, I'm going to do this," they're violating their word. If you say that to yourself, you cut yourself slack. But if you say it to another human, the probability of you doing it is significantly higher.
yeah,
So I have a lot of clients that they'll be like, "Oh shoot, I got to meet with Joe tomorrow," and they do their homework last minute, just like students. They do
yep,
their homework the night before,
yep.
but they're making progress week by week that they wouldn't have been making if they hadn't had that coaching session. So I'll check in on you every week. Let's see how much progress you make in the next week, and then by the end of the month, you'll be on target.
All right. All right. I like it. I like the challenge. And again, appreciate you coming on. Appreciating the free session, the free advice is awesome that you do that for everybody.
Yep,
Um, everybody should do this at some point and get a session and just get an understanding because it is super important. And like you said, you could get there's so many aspects to leadership and everything, and like you could get tunnel vision and think you're great and whatever. Like it's always good to have that perspective, just sit down and explain those things to you. So keep up the good
absolutely.
work and thank you again for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You
We'll be
got
in
it.
touch.
Yes, definitely.
Great things ahead.
Absolutely.